So we're waiting for someone here shortly. Should be here pretty shortly. Hopefully everybody can see and hear me just fine. And hopefully people are filtering in. Thank you for waiting patiently for 7 to 10 hours. So we're just waiting for our special guest. It may take a little bit, but he'll get here. And then we will begin. We're still not ready. We're very unprepared. It just is what it is. Right? As long as the link can be found, he should be here shortly. And if you need the link, let me know. And then after about 30 minutes, we might give the link out to the general public, right? But we've got some important talking to do. All right, Liberty Bird says, I am here. You need the link, or did you grab the link already? If you need the link, I will post it. Oops, that's not the link, is it? Hold up. It was the link, but it's not the link. Here's the link. It's in the chat now. Liberty. As long as it's okay. It's in the chat now. That's not a good echo. But anyways, we'll be talking about a couple things tonight. But we're waiting for Liberty to get up here. All right, here he is. None other than introducing Liberty, the bird himself.
What's up, y'all?
There he is. Are you busy? Or
No, man. I just got off work and stuff, so we're good.
All right. I hope I said it for late enough. That's all I know.
Actually, your timing's pretty impeccable. I was able to actually get home from staining 4 sides of a cabin, get changed into some clothes that aren't full of stain, and yeah, we're kind of just chilling, watching. Right? Watching the mountain burn is pretty interesting.
It is burning then.
Oh yeah. I'm only I would say right now I'm probably 12 miles out from the fire itself. Lucky for me though, wind direction changed the other day, so it looks like the majority of shit's gonna hit other areas than what I'm in.
Right.
So
it's not hitting where you're at though.
No, luckily it's not. It's interesting actually. They're taking pretty interesting precautions right now to avoid it crossing into the livable space that we have found out here, right? And they're doing that by cutting down large sections of forest in order to keep the flames away from jumping the highways and shit.
Right. It's they call that a break.
Okay.
Like a break or something. I don't know. I knew one guy, he was a firefighter for the forest fires, so he'd always jump in and go to Washington. But
yeah. So we got some stuff to talk about today. Looks like you might have picked out a cool video for us to review. I think those are all pluses. There's a lot of controversy out there right now. There's a lot of people talking.
Right, and that leads us into what we're going to be talking about tonight, which is the controversy that is surrounding what I talked about 2-3 days ago, right? So we went into this subject of this person, and we got deep into it. We went down the rabbit hole.
We did.
And what happened was, which I mean, if you got questions for me, that's fine. I went down the rabbit hole. I needed facts. I needed to know facts. I needed to gather, and I felt like of the case. Now, lo and behold, there might have been some. I had looked some facts up right on day one. I started digging. I started looking online. I couldn't find enough, and that led me to want more. My nature. I wanted in to the mind. I wanted, hey, let's go. But anyways, Bird, is there anything doing as I was doing it? Was there comments that I made that alerted you to what I was doing, or to what did you know what I was doing, or did you just, what was the thoughts, your thoughts?
So I had interesting perspectives as you kind of were going through it, and mind you, I almost popped up the other day on panel. However, you felt it was appropriate that I didn't show up for that panel, and I don't blame you there.
But let's say that. Spell that out for the audience. What did I do? Okay, I'll tell them.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so he came up on panel. Bird was trying to come up on panel, and I believe I kicked him down. He never made it up to the panel. But he was trying hard to get onto the panel, right? And I'm not going to say hard like aggressive. I'm just going to say he had something he wanted to say.
And I hung out for a while.
What's that?
and I hung out for a while.
He hung out in the basement for a while. So A, for effort, but B, I knew what would happen if he jumped up on the panel, and I was trying to avoid it.
Well, and let's talk, but at the same time, I think it's kind of important for people to have a little bit of perspective of now, because like I said, I understand there's a ton of criticism that surrounds this right now. I understand that you didn't let me up there for a reason, right? And I knew what that reason was, is because I am not short of poking right at Mouse and hitting him with hard questions, questions that allows him to elaborate and ultimately lead to more deception, lies, and illusion around what truth is. And I've been doing that for quite some time. If you remember, and I probably should be careful how I say
panel.
Exactly.
You called him on it, and yeah. He's like, he was talking about some mumbo jumbo stuff on day one that had nothing to do with nothing, but he led Liberty Bird on a hunt that Liberty Bird really got nowhere with him, and I seen it.
Absolutely.
So he kind of just BS'd around, and I really wanted, if there was some factual basis as to what he was saying, he wasn't gonna say it to Liberty.
And that's why I'm not mad that you didn't let me up. I think you nailed it. So this is the thing, is that what a lot of people don't realize, and the objective truth, and this is why I was so calm, cool, and collected on your show with him the other day, right? Was because I wasn't trying to take away from the point, the message, or your ability to do things. However, we both know I did once I jumped on that panel, you know what I mean? Because of my previous experiences with that individual, with my ridicule of that individual, and the fact that I've used, my interrogation tactics on that individual before. And that's why I didn't use those same interrogation tactics on your channel, because, I didn't feel like it was appropriate based on what you're trying to do. But we know that when you're trying to talk to somebody, in order to open that floodgate, there has to be a level of rapport and trust in the person that you're talking to. And for you to take that step with that individual, to try to build that rapport, to get an understanding of what was going on, I think is key. Now, where I think that my concern came up is the way that it played out with the chat, right? So, I mean, a lot of people got banned, right? Like a lot of people got banned. Hit the list.
And why? Okay, so are you going to ask? I know where you're going with this. Why did they get banned? Why did the harm of?
I'm gonna hit you with the short. I'm gonna hit you with the short answer first, and then I'm gonna let you elaborate. So, short answer, FTP, of why it happened was because you chose to leave the chat on that particular day. Where had you have closed that chat, your goals and objectives wouldn't have been influenced by chat the same way that me and you have reacted to chats before. You know, we read a comment, we're just the type of guys to be like, you know what? Fuck you. That's why I quit reading them. You know what I mean?
And that's what they did. So,
Yeah.
so while my brother was up there, somebody checked evidence, and it really made me. I didn't want that to happen. That was the worst thing that could have happened at that exact moment, second in time. Because
but why? I think it's important to express why.
Because people are looking, because he's talking. The correlation was just getting going. And then for someone to do that, that puts somebody on defense. And I'm not trying to hammer someone. I don't want to lead someone into a direction. And what it was my brother was on his own. He had just gotten done reading a statement. He came back to the chat and he got back up on the panel. And that's exactly when that comment came out. And I could tell, yes, my brother was asking direct questions, but he was also looking at the chat. And when he read that message, I knew for a fact it was that message that flipped the dude, my brother. Next thing you know, I could hear the anger and the direct.
It was like all objectiveness went away. Now, let me ask you this though, FTP. Do you feel that objectiveness that you took and that stance that you took had effects on A, your channel, and B, on your relationship with others in the community that were ultimately led to a negative impact for you and your channel?
Yes, I do. I know for a fact it did.
And why?
Because I think that I can't tell you why, other than they felt like I was supporting. They felt like I was supportive. But
would it surprise you though, if to some degree, and me and you've been close, brother. Me and you've been really close over the years. You know, over the last year, I would say. Okay. I felt like you were protecting, you know what I mean? And I didn't get the motive behind it, you know what I mean? And after I'm able to talk to you and get into your head a little bit, I now understand that motive. But even I was on he's protecting the fuck out of someone that I know is bad. And then it's like, and I think that this might be the perception of the audience. So bear with me. I think the perception to some degree of the audience was, you know, this guy's known me and I've been here long enough to where if I'm telling him that this is real, this is fact, these are the things that transpired, he's not hearing me though. It feels like maybe just to some degree that, you know, you don't have trust in the community. And I think that the reason that they didn't understand that wasn't the case was because they didn't realize that your mindset was, let me build a rapport with this guy and see if I can't get him just to break down the factual information. You know, your thoughts?
Correct. If you say, well, I didn't know where your head was at. Well, that's exactly right, because it kind of happened over a 3-day course. It happens because somebody gets on the panel and opens them up. It opens them up again. It opens the Pandora's box again. But this time it's controlled by me.
Yeah.
And let's just say this. I can focus and deer in the headlights. I can go at what I want and choose, but I have to be able to shut the comments off. I have to be able to shut certain people out, individuals, and we have to stop the slander I felt.
And I agree with you on that. I think that the slander, dude, is a big problem in this community. And when you're trying to be objective and you're trying to evaluate something from, we get past all that.
Right.
I think though it's important to evaluate that, you know, you were able to kind of evaluate some of that stuff, and you allowed that individual to evaluate some of those documents. Right. And then I think slowly, you know, you started realizing I'm being fed an illusion here. I'm being fed bullshit or lies. And I think that by day 3, you finally got to that point where you had an epiphany of what truth was. And so much so that you told me that you looked into, you know, the full spectrum of
the information we took on from El Sancho's, right? And I'll let you talk about that, which ultimately, you know, gave you a better understanding of the evidence.
Once I got enough evidence, now I am not going to say I got a lot of evidence, right? I always question even further, and I do jump to this grandiosity of how much can I get? Can I get tapes? Can I get victim statements? Can I get the whole story, not leave anything out? I don't know where these came from. That night before and the night after, and El Sancho, which was last night?
Night before.
During the day when I actually got onto El Sancho's, by the time I got to El Sancho's video, and I watched that with Teresa R., Flathead, and Liberty Bird, that was an eye-opener. That was a whole new, fresh perspective that I had never seen, and that's what I was looking for. I didn't realize there was that much already out there and available and accessible and readable. And then when they put it in the order that they did, you know, I could have used that 6 months ago is my thoughts and my feelings on it. The whole community could have. Not to say there wasn't stuff out there. Them documents have been floating. People talk, and that's what creates the illusion that one is guilty or one is not. So I guess when you do get the anger in the community, okay, so maybe I can understand it, but I also look at it like, look at how ostracized one is. Why is he so ostracized? And why is this conflicting in my room, but nobody else's room? Why is this just attacking on my room? And it seems like a personal attack. It also seems like if somebody wanted to hurt a channel, this is how they would go about doing it. I'm scared.
What if I told you, though, that it wasn't so much about the fact that it got brought to your channel more than it was that was the resource available for the platform to put someone in front of you ultimately, right? So the reason that I jumped on that day, and you know this, was so that I could conversate with that individual. That was my whole point of joining that day. I did keep it very calm, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, I was able to get some points across, and more so, if you actually review that, more so it was my warning to you, and had you maybe able to heed that warning to some degree, I think that, you know, this would all have played out much differently. At the same time, I don't blame you for your objectiveness. I think that it's an important thing, because check this out. Not every person that is convicted of a crime is actually guilty of it. However, it's very rare on a crime that serious for someone to admit guilt if they're innocent. I know that if I was ever in that situation and I was innocent, I would absolutely 100% take it to the jury and say, you know what, if you guys want to try to lock me up for 1,000,000 years, I don't care. I'm not going to be one of those guys. Same time, I think it's a very interesting dynamic that you know, we're able to evaluate the fact that each man, an individual, has to be able to come to conclusions based on the information that those individuals receive in their own time. Okay, there's a lot of people that disagree with me about a whole lot of things that I know I'm not just factually correct on, but are 100% already proven, and they still want to fight me on it. Here's an easy example, which is very broad. Okay, I often get people like Mommy Shark. What up, girl? Dude, whoever the fuck you are, I don't care. My point is, though, is that Mommy Shark wants to jump in my chat and say, but you're not press. You're not press. I'm looking at you like, yes, I am. I am as press gets. In fact, I am probably more press than the news that you watch. And I can do it objectively. If you didn't see my video last night, I would suggest, you know, you check out the Trump supporter conversation. I can be very objective. It's okay. At the same time, I like to get my points across, and I also like to make sure that there's a dialogue to some degree. I think that your slow roll to the information, you know, was a disadvantage for you, but at the same time, by the time you got a glimpse and an understanding that of what truth was. What did you do in response? And I think this is important for the people to know.
Well, don't act like you just read what you just read. You still put it in as non-fact, and you still go at the issue. You're not, even though it's the facts are staring you right in the face. Not the facts, but the paperwork.
We're talking about the evidence. I think that'd be a way to put it.
The evidence. So what is that complaint, and what does he feel is wronged? Right? Does he say, because there's more than just evidence. There's the interrogation. What happened in the interrogation? What are you saying? What are you alleging? And what is your beef or complaint about this case that bugs you so much? If that makes sense. The fact that he cannot let it go. Whether he was sent to my room, whether he was in my room, or whether he was on my panel. What is it that you want to talk about? What is it that we need to discuss as facts of the case so that it appeases you? Because it's not about
or that he felt like he was heard, right? Or that he could at least present his side of the case so we could get a second perspective from the evidence to what his personal experience was. I think that's legitimate. And again, that's why I didn't act like an asshole the other day on your channel, where some others that I know did.
Even my brother did. He flipped out. He freaked out. That was the first time he had seen it. And I told him, I'll give you every chance. I will, more than, like, if this dude says it is, it is. Because this dude, see, you say credentials, you have credentials. And I say the credentials on that side that he dismissed was somebody that had done 10 years in the penitentiary. And we already know this. I've already told you guys this. 10 years, his own writ of habeas corpus, released himself from custody in prison, got 2 escapes to go away, and also did his full 10-year sentence. Plus,
your brother's a very intelligent man, and I would ultimately say that given the circumstances he experienced, he did the best with the legal system that he could.
Well, from inside, there's not much you can do other than hit the law library and continue. And he said, when you write that, your own writ, from at the age of 16, he was put in at the age of 16 and took him till 26 to get out. So the bottom line is, when you go through that much, he's like, it's like hitting your head up against a brick wall. So whatever he's facing, and he's feeling that brick up against the wall, then he comes into this community, which I still can't understand, because it's not okay. And knowing that it caused 60 people to pour into a room, the stage was set, the bar was way the fuck up there, and just by a little bit of communicational skills, did you see those numbers fly? And that's how you know you had all your haters in one spot, you had all your good people in one spot, and you knew for a 100% fact who was on which side. And there is no better than to know you stayed so close with your enemies, you skirted the line so close with the opposite, your friends. You literally, you tore the shit up, and you tore the shit out of the trolls. You made them not run. You made them on the defensive. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Let's go put a show together. And that in and of itself is the essence of, it's like what emo does. He pisses people off to the point where they run and make a show. So for that bad or for that worse, that's what it is. Because the street smarts in I'm going to get you, right? That's the difference between a predator and the prey, okay? There's no discerning that I'm better or worse. It's up to your interpretation of, did you really get gotten? And how bad did you get gotten? Now, did my channel suffer a little bit? Yes. Will it bounce back? Yes. I started at 0 and it'll come back. Now, how's my mind frame since all that bullshit happened? It's fucked up. Okay? My mind's fucked up from it. You can't unsee what you just seen. But
Can't unread what you read. Yeah.
No, you can't.
And there's a lot of truth about that. You know, I would say that even for me, man, like it's taken me back, just that experience of going through, you know, things and then getting perspectives. It took me back to some of my experiences, you know, and it makes me run it. Like even right now, as I'm talking to it and we're talking about it openly to some degree, right? Like what had happened transpires in the back of my brain, dude. This is the thing though, is that it's good. It's good that we can do that. As people, it's good that we can reflect on that. And I would say for all the fucking trolls or all the people like me that, you know, would have been willing to troll, right, at the time, because, you know, the passion that runs behind, you know, the situation, I don't think there's any fingers being pointed at you for that. You know what I mean? I think though, at the same time, what I've seen a lot in chat, and I'm not saying any regards to people making freedom of speech or, you know, stating their opinions, but some of the stuff that was coming out in the chats, dude, was raw dog enough to where it was distracting from what you were ultimately trying to accomplish. And I think that you were able to really express that to me last night. And that's why I came back to the table today, right, with you and sat down at this, you know, face to face, where we were able to kind of hash some of the stuff out, because even though I didn't agree with you at the time, nor do I necessarily agree with the way that it happened, I still see that you ultimately did two things. Okay. You were able to evaluate the situation, okay, and eventually come up with your own conclusion on what was right versus wrong. And when you did that, that individual was no longer welcome. And in fact, we're not even supposed to be speaking the name of that individual ever again on this channel. And that I commend you for, because, you know, it's really hard, man. Like it's like trying to convince a leftist to go to the right, or a right and a leftist to say we're done with the whole system, right? And that's kind of what I'm. But you know, that's how I seen that, dude. So I commend you for that, because I think that at some point, you know, you came to the conclusion of, okay, I might not have handled that the best. This is the evidence, and this is what I believe to be truth now that I've seen the full spectrum, and this is what I'm going to do about it. And that takes a lot of character to take from saying, you know, I'm at this position, to saying that, you know what, I wasn't fully correct, and in some cases, maybe even wrong. And taking that accountability speaks a lot about character, dude.
And I would ask, what in the Joe Biden, I would say, at what point did I tell you that this was going on and that I need some help? Call in reinforcements, because this is uncharted territory, to where I've never been in this type of position before, to get put in this position and to everybody to clamor onto it. So at what point did I call you up and say, you need to jump on the panel, or the night before? You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, you have to understand, it's not a personal attack. It's not what you think it is, right? The trolls are a big aspect of this community.
Fact.
And if you cannot discern between who Teresa R is, who Flathead is, who Liberty Bird is, who I am, their character, it all comes into question. Maybe because we're in a community together, we think that we're friends, and then we do things that undermine what the other person's working for. And so when someone comes in and says, well, I want to get into your business, but go ahead.
Are you talking shit about me already?
No, I was just talking about you. Did you hear me? And so What was your take on it? What did you tell me right away?
He skirts the issue. He ducks. He dodges. He magically doesn't remember a damn thing. But then you call him on it from other people that mind you, I know that you don't want to. You want to see it personally, and I get it. You want to see the paperwork in your hand if accusations are going to be made levied against somebody, and so do I. You know what I mean? You can't go off what mass people are saying. That guy out on certain, see, that's why I didn't say that I had read the paperwork right away. Okay, I wanted to question him about a couple of different little things that were in there. Oh no, I don't remember the girl. I don't remember nothing. Okay, I don't remember. She could have been 7. She could have been 16. I did. Yeah, I did screw some. Blah 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 blah. I'm not going to get into the details on live TV. Okay, because of certain young viewers in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? But he does a very good job of trying to skirt the issue, try not to admit to you not remember. I mean, I don't get where you it's your case, bud. You're the one that went through it. You're the one that acknowledged it. You're the one that wrote the statement.
And if you register as a sex offender at any point, you would probably remember the situation that put you there for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. 100%. And I mean, that dude, I figured that dude out in about 3.7 seconds. Just as soon as he started skirting and jumping around and dancing like the pavement was hot. Playing hot potato. How do I skirt this? How do I skirt? I mean, he's very good at ducking. I mean, he could be a king in dodgeball, man. He really could. But that's how when you got yourself a guilty subject, man, is, put a flame to him, man. He's going to jump around a little bit. And sure enough, after brief research, and it didn't take long. All we needed was a case number to look it up, and then some respectable fans that help provide. Regardless of where that came from, those are legitimate documents. Okay, they did come from a police department. And there's not much that he can deny about it. So, to lay that to rest, I mean, it all comes down to, he said, well, she came on to me and this and that. Does it really make a difference, man? Because you admitted that you knew she was 16 years old. I don't know about you, man, but I got kids. And if some 30-year-old dude or 40-year-old dude shows up at my doorstep for my daughter, we're going to have more than just that problem. I guarantee it. And you got to think about it in those kinds of terms and respects, man. You got kids. We all got kids. I'm not saying that people don't get falsely accused every day.
And even if you don't have kids, though, right? Even if you don't have kids, you should be able to understand one basic thing, and that is that no one should be able to force another person in that fashion whatsoever and break the boundaries of one person's body. I feel the same way about fucking injections and vaccinations as I do about fucking rape.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
it's just like your average everyday Joe Biden supporter. Not to make this show political, because that's not what this is about. But pedophilia is. Okay. Now, by overlooking Joe Biden's sniffy and touchy ways, you're basically endorsing a pedophile for president. You're endorsing Bill Clinton's Epstein Island, which was also one of the one of the main rings in the United States of America by voting for this. You're endorsing it.
And how many elected officials were involved with that too? Like, it's really scary. It doesn't stop with Biden. It doesn't stop with Clinton's. It doesn't stop.
To be honest with you, it doesn't stop with Trump. Okay, because Trump was in pictures with Epstein too. You're a $1 billion dude, and I understand you take pictures with a lot of different people, and you can honestly say, hey, this dude, I don't really know this dude. I just took pictures. It's a photo op. And that's what he's saying. And who's to say any different? Okay, but the facts are you knew him. And at this point, you know, I'm a patriot. You know what I mean? I'm a constitutionalist, and I'm starting to look at Washington like it's just one big pedophile island.
Talking
and
like
everybody's going down by guilt by association type shit. And you know, you do got to look back on what the fuck he's done to women in general, and not just grown women, but he's been on cameras talking to 16-year-olds and shit. You know, and that's the thing is, okay, am I a Trump supporter? I agree with stuff that he agrees with.
Yeah, I think the whole demographic at this point between NFC versus AFC, or you know what I like to call the national stage, the world stage, all the way to the NFL, is that you know we're now so divided, and it's all by design. So I guess let's backtrack real quick. I think that FTP, you learned some valuable lessons in the process of your last thing. I think that you'll probably be going through and then letting some people back on, and maybe keeping some people off of the list that was created from the last 3 days.